What is going on, you guys? AK40 Kevin here in the gamer heaven. Today we're going to be unboxing some gamer goodies from China. If you've ever ordered from wish.com, Alibaba, Aliexpress, you've probably seen products like this. Products that you see on Amazon marked up substantially. However, if you don't mind waiting about 7 weeks to get these things with no warranty or customer support, then you can have controllers and accessories just like this. Let's get it. Alrighty guys, over here at the Stormtrooper desktop, gonna go ahead and move this bad boy out of the way and we'll get to unboxing these. So, these are all from Aliexpress. There's Alibaba, which basically requires you to buy in bulk, generally 100 or more units. So if you're trying to do this as kind of a drop shipping method where you buy Chinese products and then rebrand them with your own packaging, your own website, your own brand, and then basically resell those, you know, the drop shipping model, then you would use something like Alibaba.com. Now, AliExpress is kind of a more consumer-friendly version of that. It has an easier to browse user interface. You don't really need to deal directly with the... You don't need to really deal directly with the manufacturers and ask them logistic questions and stuff like that. So if you're just looking for like a headphone stand or a controller or something like that, it's pretty amazing because you'll see what you want on Amazon and then go over to AliExpress or even something like Wish, and you'll probably find the exact same thing for about a third of the price. However, I wouldn't rule out shopping through like Amazon or a platform like that, because with Amazon, you have like 2-day shipping, you have the buyer protection and security of shopping through a platform like Amazon that is extremely trusted in like North America, Canada, pretty much, and you're able to read product reviews before you buy it, stuff like that. You don't really get any of that on AliExpress. You're just buying directly from the Chinese manufacturer, and you know, you can negotiate with them. A lot of times they actually do speak English and whatnot, and you can ask them questions and they'll get back to you. But these take about between 5 weeks and your death, like anywhere between like 5 to 6 weeks and your retirement. I have ordered things from Chinese warehouses in the past that took like 6 months to get to me, and I kept emailing them, they wouldn't respond, so I'm just thinking, okay, well, I just got screwed. And then it just popped up on my doorstep one day. I couldn't believe it. Enough jaw-jacking and lip-smacking, I'll show you guys what I got over here. Now, these are for my personal use. I do have a small business building custom controllers, pictures on screen here. And I used to start out with the base or platform of a licensed Xbox or PlayStation controller. However, comes to find out, Sony and Xbox, and especially Nintendo, don't really like people customizing their controllers and selling them for a profit, even though, you know, you're doing the actual work. You're hydro dipping them, you're putting in custom face buttons, you're soldering paddles to the board, putting in magnetic swappable thumbsticks, stuff like that. Even though you're installing all that stuff yourself, you're marketing them, blah, 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 they're just not a huge fan of it. So I've kind of moved away from that and started using generic branded controllers like this. Like as you can see here, this is a Xbox original controller. I always want to say Xbox One, but it's their naming system is so wonky over there at Microsoft. Xbox original controller here. Now, this isn't the Duke, which is even a little bit bigger. But honestly, I do a lot of emulation and stuff, and I have an entire library of the original Xbox games. So I definitely wanted one of these controllers in the collection to be able to plug into my... Well, that's misadvertised. This said it was USB, but this actually looks like the legitimate Xbox One, Xbox original plug. So this might be utterly useless because I don't have an Xbox original. I have an Xbox 360, but geez. Okay. But anyway, quality seems just fine. Obviously, the only cosmetic difference here is you don't have the lime green Xbox logo in here as it is a generic controller. Now, keep in mind, these are built pretty much to specification. They work just like the licensed controllers from Sony and Xbox. In fact, all the internals are the same. I know this because I've disassembled dozens of these things and compared them side by side with like a Sony DualShock 4 and like a $30 knockoff and like an Xbox controller and like a $20 knockoff, and the internals are the same. Yeah, this is like an actual Xbox original controller. It has the 2 working ports on top for the expansions, and then, yeah, so, darn. Well, if I ever get an Xbox original, I have a controller. All right, next up we have an Xbox 360 controller. We're gonna start whipping through these now. I don't want to make this video too long for you guys. All right, so, yep. Typical Xbox 360 controller, and this is USB, thank God, so you can use this on PC or whatever. You can also use this on a 360 just by plugging into the front of it. So yeah, quality feels good. Face buttons feel as they should. Analog sticks feel as they should. Again, the only difference is you have that chrome home button instead of a licensed, labeled, logoed Xbox Xbox logo. So again, if I want to use this as a platform, as the base for me to do some customization on, you know, hydro dip it, swap the thumbsticks, maybe even solder on a paddle kit if I'm feeling froggy that day. This is cheaper for one, and two, I don't have to worry about getting sued down the road from Microsoft or Sony because I'm using their licensed product. So that's good. It's just a win-win. All right, next up, this is the PO2 Play Game Pro controller. But again, you might buy this on Amazon. This exact model, the box will look different and everything, but when you open it up, this controller looks identical to this one here. So keep that in mind, boys. This is wireless for use with PlayStation 4. It will directly link up via Bluetooth to your PS4. Oh, look at the design of this thing. They tried to go for like a DualSense 5 controller. That's insane. It looks nothing like a DualSense 5 controller, to be honest. Give me a second. So I got a couple of DualSense 5 controllers right here. Loney. A couple of licensed Sony DualShock 5, DualSense 5 controllers here. I did customize this one on the channel, by the way. Pretty proud of that one, not gonna lie. So I'm going to be doing a separate review of this DualSense 5 knockoff. I don't even know if you can call it a DualSense 5 knockoff, considering it's not even advertised to work for PS5. That's just the looks they went with. But honestly, it doesn't look much like a DualSense 5 either. But I do like the little face buttons they put in there, though. But I cosmetically like how the face buttons look on here, but they are very close together. I mean, you can basically cover all of them with your thumb. Now, this does have 4 paddles in the back. They're on kind of a swivel mechanism. And I also do like the 2-tone analog sticks. I think that looks really cool, but obviously the caps of these thumbsticks are just the traditional hybrid thumbsticks that PlayStation uses. They're hybrids. They're basically domed in the center and then concaved with a little like ribbed edge on the outside. So I like PlayStation 4 thumb caps, to be honest. Interesting. Triggers and bumpers feel terrible. Absolutely terrible. We're going to do a separate review of this bad boy playing on PC and PlayStation 4. But yeah. Anyway, I think it's funny that they tried to go with that design, but it looks and feels absolutely nothing like a DualSense, obviously. And this actually does not work on PlayStation 5. This is specifically for PlayStation 4. So I guess they just did that as a kind of a cosmetic thing, but it certainly does not work on the PS5. However, what does work, it has the gyroscope motion sensing, it does have the touchpad, does have the light bar, so you know, all these controllers that I mentioned, I have reviewed a lot of these little third-party controllers. For example, this was $28 over here, and this, you know, other than not having the sticker right there, the Sony branded sticker, this works identical to a PlayStation 4 controller. Pairs up the exact same way, can turn on your console, light bar, touchpad, analog sticks feel the same, 3.5mm headphone jack with the extension port. Also, there's no Sony logo on the home button there, but again, this functions identical to a PS4 controller, as most of these little generic knockoffs do. And they are cheaper, but you have to wait for them to be delivered, and then if there is an issue, you don't really have any customer support or anything. So we have these two controller paddles for PS4, and these were... Now, I got each of these for $9 a pop. These are the paddle extensions that plug into a licensed PS4 controller through the little accessory port on the bottom and basically give you 2 remappable paddles on the back. Now, the licensed Sony one originally retailed for $39.99, then it was dropped down to $30. Now you can find it on like Amazon and GameStop.com for $20. It's gone substantially down in price because, well, people are getting PS5s now. PS4 accessories are going substantially down in price. You can also pick up a used PS4 on like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist very cheap right now because people bought PS5s and they're trying to soften the blow of that $500 console by selling their old one, obviously. But these were $9 a pop, but they don't have the actual touchscreen on there, which the original licensed Sony product had, where you could swipe through profiles, and basically that's how you mapped the 2 paddles. Now, this is only a 2-paddle design. For somebody like myself that does play a lot of competitive first-person shooters, I do prefer 4-paddle controllers, so basically all of your face buttons, obviously, are in the back, and you never need to take your fingers off the sticks. You're constantly aiming, running. You can remap the D-pad if you want. Anything that would require you to take your fingers off the thumbsticks, you just map to the back. Plus, it just seems a lot quicker, too, than having to, you know, open a door like that and then get back over here. You can just run and bop, bop, bop. It's great. Good sound effects. All right, so let's take a look at these two bad boys. They should be identical. All right, all you get in the box is this little chintzy instruction manual. Holy crap. No color, very cheap, but it does tell you that you can remap 14 buttons of the controller to the two paddles on the back. Explains how to do that. Long press the set button for 2 seconds. The X light flashes quickly. Press M1 or M2, that's the two paddles. And then you press the face button that you want to flash. And then you can also clear your set mapped paddles by holding down for 5 seconds. And if you unplug it and insert it into another controller, or the controller dies, it holds the memory function on board. It actually has onboard memory to save the profile, so that's kind of cool. All right, so the back is rubberized. This is what's actually going to sit up against the back shell of your controller. They do feel very tactile and clicky. That actually feels way better than I expected. I thought it'd be kind of mushy, like a membrane switch. It's not mechanical, but it feels very close to mechanical with that tactile clickiness. They actually feel really good. And then obviously you have a pass-through for your 3.5mm headphone port on the bottom there. We are going to test this on this video. Oh, okay, awesome. So it just sits in there like that, and I have to say, these paddles are actually in a pretty good position to where, right where your fingers rest naturally, you can use the ball of your inner finger here to press these pretty quickly and easily, and they actually do feel pretty good. So we're going to test these out to make sure they work. But all right, next up we have what should be a headphone stand. And this is from a company called Blitzwolf. I've actually heard this name many, many times, so they're probably a pretty common or popular, I was about to say reputable, but probably a very common or popular outlet for these cheap products. This one also did come with thumb caps. These are really crappy. I have like 100 million of these here. Like I said, I do build custom controllers, and every time I buy like an accessory, like a faceplate or something like that, they almost always include these little thumbstick caps here, but they're very uncomfortable. They have these little ribs on them here. I generally don't even put these on like customer controllers, and I certainly don't use them for my personal controllers. Has a little thank you letter and a QR code you can scan to get directly to their customer support. You have your instruction manual, which actually isn't bad. It has a little bit of, excuse me, a little bit of color in there. It has pictures and whatnot. And if I do remember correctly, when I ordered this thing about 6 weeks ago, this is a very nice looking metal headphone stand with RGB, so that's pretty cool, because I don't have a headphone stand right now. Wow, that's flashy. That's a little too flashy for my taste, I'm not going to lie. You have a LED strip or a RGB strip on the back there, and then you also have 2 USB ports on the side, a headphone jack, and a power button, which I think also scrolls through RGB modes. It is rubberized, has a rubberized foot on the bottom there. Let's go ahead and pop these little feet in here. Plug this thing into the top of the PC to check out this RGB. Ow! Cardi B and RGB, right, boys? Pretty long cable. It's not braided or anything like that. Just a typical rubberized USB 2.0 port. Gonna plug that into one of the 3.0 ports on the front of my Alienware R11 over here. Setting up as audio device. Yep, because it has an audio jack, it will need to be recognized as an audio source. All right, so you got your RGB lighting up there on the back. All right, let's see if we can swap modes and whatnot. Yep, you sure can. So as you press the power button, you're going to swap through different colors. If you hold it down for a couple seconds, you will turn it off completely. So not bad. The build quality actually feels pretty durable on this thing. It's some pretty thick plastic. It's a little too flashy for my taste. So if I was going to be using this long-term or consistently, I would obviously run the cable around the back and plug it in one of those USB ports back there. But overall, this thing actually looks pretty good. It's kind of a gunmetal gray, which actually goes pretty well with the brushed aluminum of the Razer Nari Ultimates over here. You have your USB ports right there. I mean, overall, out of everything we got today, I think this is the highest quality. Can you get back on there, please? Thank you. It also has a pretty good little notch there to hold your headphones in. All right, guys, so my final thoughts here. I do actually like the headphone stand. It feels pretty durable, and I didn't expect that. The build quality actually feels pretty solid, pretty thick plastics, has USB ports. The PlayStation DualSense 5 controller looks hilarious, looks nothing or feels nothing like a DualSense 5. Obviously, you would expect that. It's like a $10 controller by, say, $73 controller with tax. But the paddles do work. I did test them out. They are remappable, which is really cool. I will be doing a separate video review of that, as there is kind of a lot to talk about with that. The bumpers and triggers, not so good, boys. The Xbox controller, make sure if you buy one of those that it is USB compatible if you want to be using it on your PC to emulate some retro games. This one actually was the port for an Xbox original. You can buy an adapter from that input into USB. So that's an option, but again, that's an extra $3-4 that you'll have to spend. These strangely enough, do not work with anything besides a licensed PS4 controller, which is weird because the boards are very, very similar, a lot of times actually identical to what's in the Sony. But not only do these feel a lot cheaper and chintzier than the licensed Sony products, but they've gone so down in price now. They were like 40 bucks. Now you can pick them up for 20 or cheaper, and those feel better. They have an actual screen on the back where you can scroll through and see what you have mapped to. The build quality is better, and it doesn't wrap around the front where now your home button's kind of hard to press because you have this raised plastic here. The other one just stops right about here underneath the controller. Picture on screen here of what the official Sony product looks like, and that just makes more sense now. So I can't really recommend these at all for anyone. The 360 controller was I think $3 or $4, and that thing feels identical to an Xbox 360 controller and is USB, so that's a good option. I will have all these linked in the description below. Those are Amazon links, so they are going to be a little bit more pricey, but obviously a lot more reputable, and the shipping is 2 days versus about 2 months. And I think that's going to do it, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.